Order the September 3rd meeting of the Weld RE-5J Board of Education order. Take a moment to silence your cell phones. Rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty. Item 7A into position 1F.
For that.
I am moving for that.
Second.
I didn't practice this. This might be super awkward as I try to read it back. So repeat it after. Raise. Before God and my community.
Before God and my community.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
And of the Colorado.
And of the state of Colorado.
And the laws made pursuant to.
And the laws made pursuant.
And to faithfully perform the duties.
And to faithfully perform the duties.
Of the Office of Student Director.
Of the Office of Student Director.
Of the Weld County School District.
Of the Weld County School District.
RE-5J of Education.
RE-5J Board of Education.
Upon which I'm about to enter.
Upon which I
We'll need to sign this. Monica will need to sign it, and Jessica will need to check it out as well. All right.
Congratulations.
So we wanted to kind of do that early so you could participate in the rest.
At least a year, maybe slightly over a year, so it's exciting to be back in here, but it's also exciting to be in this room. It's always nice to celebrate some of the great things going on in our district. Tonight, I want to start with a group of individuals that talked about as a board close to 2 years ago, probably. For the better part of a little bit over a year, we have had a chance to meet Mr. Benson, Ms. Kramer, myself, with a group of individuals that have been across grade levels at Roosevelt High School, called the Superintendent Advisory Group or Board, and wanted to recognize the participation tonight of some of those individuals, but also give them a chance to talk. And so when we were together earlier this year, they selected Peter Hollywood as the individual that would have a chance to talk. And so without further ado, I would love to ask Peter to step to the microphone over there and talk a little bit about your experience, but also team's experience working as a student advisory group.
Sounds good. Sorry for being late. There's a bit of miscommunication.
You're really good.
Is this on? Yeah? All right, sounds good. Good evening, members of the board and everyone else that happens to be in attendance. My name is Peter Hollywood, and I'm a senior over at Roosevelt High School. Today I speak to you on behalf of the Superintendent's Advisory Council. This council, which was made around 2 years ago now, is made up of a plethora of students from a variety of life experiences. In fact, at all our meetings, we all begin it with like stating our name, but also like what we're involved in school. And we actually had an interesting conversation about like the elementary schools we come from and such as well. But it's been around for 2 years, and we come together to advise Superintendent Nielsen and Roosevelt Principal Mr. Ben on different school board policies and programs. This input from a diverse collective of students is able to provide a better decision-making process overall for board matters. So alongside myself, the students on this board consist of Annabelle Rusco, Hayden Chambers, Grace Jackson, Liam Burak, Hasiel Tovar, Kayla Bailey, Alyssa Williams, and Sadie Gosha. I may be missing someone, but I do not think so. I double-checked. But I do not think so. So yeah, all those students, they're awesome. All of majority of us are seniors, and then Sadie and Liam are both juniors. So if you know anyone that would like to do it for the future classes, please do something about that. So yeah, first and most, we wanted to give Principal Mr. Benson, Superintendent Nielsen, and Assistant Superintendent Kramer a massive thank you for putting in the effort to listen to our student perspectives on school district matters. Many of us, myself included, definitely do not hold back on our honest thoughts of what the school district does, school district policy. And if we think the school district is doing poorly, we definitely let them know. So it's a lot to listen to students say that. So yeah, thank you so much. Since our first meeting in spring 23, we've advised the superintendent on a variety of topics. These include, but are not limited to, student issues with the counseling department. We have made, this is one of the most, not just among our group, but also among the student body as a whole, one of the most complained about issues at Roosevelt. So we've, the most progress in this regard is we've adapted the scheduling system to better meet students' needs, as well as cater more to college-bound students, because in recent years it's been very focused, which is awesome, but a lot of us were like, like college-bound students are kind of left out of a lot of this. So we've kind of altered that a little bit. We've also added one more counselor this year, which has definitely contributed to the improved system. So we are closer to meeting the recommended American Counselors Association recommended counselor to student ratio. There's two other things. We've also done a lot of work in growing school spirit at Roosevelt, especially at the new building. We found, our council found that there was kind of an issue where the new school is a little bleak, doesn't yet have culture that the old building definitely had, and so we've done a lot of work to try to uplift that. And not just like at football games, football games are great, but also we're trying to increase student attendance at different events, such as musicals, plays, instrumental concerts, and even like less attended work such as swim meets, or track meets, or cross-country meets, anything like that. And we've also done a little bit of work on better communicating with students and families through social media and the website and etc. And yeah, that's most of the work we've done so far. We've had like a lot of different conversations, and I look forward to what we'll do the rest of the year, but also what future classes at Roosevelt will do. I wanted to thank you again for your trusting students to be a part of the conversation. The work we have done so far proves what is possible when student voices are heard. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. I guess I'd ask board members, we have a few other individuals here. If you have any questions for any of the board members, I think they could answer any questions of their work.
You're asking if we have questions
If you
of,
have questions for them.
oh, for these guys,
Or for any
or
of
any of the SAC members that are here?
Would they raise their hands if they're part of the advisory board?
It's just the four of you guys who are representatives.
It's clearly had an influence on those that want to be part of this board. We started the superintendent's advisory prior to our board, looking at students who were interested, and that's clearly had an influence there. I think they talk to each other about that opportunity here too, so.
I have a question. Should I turn this on?
Yes.
We haven't ever used these microphones, at least I haven't ever used these. So I just want to know, as part of this student advisory board, what area that you've made the biggest contribution, or what is your proudest accomplishment?
I can speak to that. How do I turn the mic on? There's a button. Sorry, y'all. Okay. Oh yeah, that would do it. Hello? Okay, I'll just talk really loud. I'd say our biggest one, like Peter kind of touched on, is definitely the integration of helping students reach their plan after high school, whether that's their college bound, whether career and technical education bound. We just really wanted them to have that good start as a freshman. So one of those big changes that Mr. Benson and Superintendent Nielsen were really behind was hiring a specific counselor for our freshman students. So they had someone to sit down with them, make a career plan, make sure that they knew the class they were going to take, and honestly the steps that they would need to get there. So in general, that's made a really positive change from what I've heard from this year's freshmen so far. And then additionally, we asked of the counselors to each meet with a student, once per semester?
Yes.
Yeah, so meet with each student on the roster once per semester to kind of just check in with, are you in the classes that you need? Are you prepared? What do you need from us as a counseling team? And that's kind of allowed a more direct form of communication that doesn't always take the super long day.
I was gonna say the exact same thing.
I just spoke for like a minute and a half. I do. Hold on. Let me see if I-
No, okay, I'll talk for that. One of like the more, I feel like unheard of contributions I think I've seen is, I can definitely speak for myself, for the rest of, oh my gosh. I can't speak for the rest of the board, but definitely I realized how much like influence I have within my own community and building and just like connecting people. So we've been working on that, like Peter said, with improving school spirit, getting people to go to more events around the school. Another thing is one of the previously mentioned members, Sadie Goshen, she came up to me and asked me about this board, about the student rep position. And so I think it's a really empowering thing, learning how well you can connect people in your community. And I think that's a huge contribution to maybe the lives of the board, but also to the community, just realizing we have that power to influence things.
Thank you. I think it's such a great way to do it, and that you've gone to this next step now where you're part of school board as a student school board member. So I just appreciate everyone's contribution. I'm really amazed. I don't know if I would have had the confidence to do that when I was your age, and I feel like this is building you in so many, such a variety of ways. So proud of all of you guys for your contribution.
I have one thing too. I think a lot of this idea also stemmed from when we were working to elect our new superintendent a couple of years ago. This would have been at this point. That committee was initially made out of students giving a little bit of input as well. Benson was heading that up along with us. They bribed us with pizza essentially to get to know the candidates and see which one would be the best fit for our student body as a whole. So I think that that's really going to do like a greater, larger impact is just the idea that like high schoolers definitely have stuff to say. Like Peter said, hearing a lot of that isn't always easy. We're definitely a little fiery in those meetings, not gonna lie. But in general, just kind of like knowing that we have the ideas and that they're able to be worked with has been really, really valuable.
So a lot of this is, I mean, this is a lot of new territory for us. Obviously, the three of you sitting here, as Superintendent Nielsen said, the Superintendent's Advisory Committee is about 2 years old. So we're kind of finding our way. We're working with some of our peer other districts, learning how they're doing it. What are some things that you guys have seen that we could do to improve how student voice ties to this level?
I'll say something.
Go ahead.
I think there's been, I think the fact that we have two appointed members to school board, I think that's really cool. I will say, I do watch majority of the school board meetings from my house just to, I don't know, stay aware of what's happening. And I think there's been several meetings where, and I understand that Hayden and Annabelle cannot vote. However, I have seen meetings, previously there was one, I think you guys were mentioning something with school lunch, something about school lunch. I don't necessarily remember
Oh
what it
yeah,
was.
that was.
And I remember hearing you guys, and you guys are all talking up there on the dais, and you're like, oh, I would have student perspective on this. And then Hayden and Annabelle are just like standing there, silence. And then you're like, you don't care to ask, and you're like, hey, Hayden and Annabelle, what do you guys think about such and such? So I think it's awesome that like these two members exist. I chose personally not to apply for it because, which also I think is a concern. I chose not to apply for it because in the application it said that you have to pretty much publicly agree with anything the board says. I couldn't get behind that. I think you should allow these two awesome people here, and also Liam. But Liam is not official. But these two awesome people here, I think they have a lot to say, and so I just think in any way you possibly can, allowing them to say as they please, as students of the board. I mean, all you guys are elected. You guys can say what you please as citizens of the United States, and I think these two people should definitely be allowed to say what they want as well. And I just would like to hear more input from them because I think I do see a lot of meetings where they are just kind of sat there, and it's like, okay, it's awesome that they exist, and it's awesome that they're put in this position, but I would like to see more happening out of that personally. You guys are nodding your head a lot, so I think you silently agree. Thank you, Peter. You're welcome.
Can I add one more like thing in the student input? So the other discussion we've been having too, in addition to like Peter's, like how do we kind of represent the majority and kind of the choice of the students? We're really excited in a little while. We're gonna hopefully extend these like advisory boards down to the elementary schools and the middle schools. So hopefully that they have a say in where other student board members can really listen to what's going on in each building, in each little area. They're all different demographics, different students, and see what we can do to hopefully speak a little more at the meeting and hopefully get everyone's side of the story when we're making a decision. So we're really looking forward to that.
One thing I'd like to add is, honestly, this is how I got started, was the first year we won state for basketball. I'm sure everyone on that board, on this board has heard this story many times. I was only a player on the team that showed up to when we were getting recognized by the school board, and the intern and the superintendent at the time, Ms. Dressler, called me up. And honestly, again, put me on the spot, which now looking back, I'm so grateful for, because that was such an empowering experience and really pushed me to get comfortable with speaking and speaking my mind. And I'm really grateful for that experience. And I see a lot of these like student organizations come in, and I do appreciate the effort to get at least most of them to talk. But I do see sometimes where just the coaches or the advisors talk, and I would like it to be an expectation where the students, at least like one student leader talks, because then that empowers individuals to be able to speak up at these meetings. And I feel like that's also how you can get more involvement and stuff on our advisory board, is empowers kids to speak their mind here and share about whatever they're getting celebrated for.
I had one. Just us three, we don't represent enough of the school district whatsoever. We represent maybe 100, 200 kids and maybe close to what perspectives might be similar to, but we have nowhere close to. So making sure that we can try to have maybe, a couple board meetings a year, being able to have someone, even just like Peter coming up to stand right there and, sharing his or her view on a certain issue or something like that, or maybe a certain thing that's happening. Maybe basketball just won state and we want to have a basketball player come in and talk about how the season went and stuff like that, and making sure we have certain perspective from the student themselves, because we don't represent that.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, I was listening, Lynn. Peter, thank you for coming, and all of you, but I didn't catch everybody's name. I was listening in the car on the way in. We're new to this too. We love having your input. We're new to having you find people joining us on the board, so we're learning too. And your input about scheduling and advising and counseling and everything has really been invaluable. And we have a history here in Johnstown Milliken of not really hearing much from the community and the students. And speak up. Katie said, feel empowered. Let us know what you're thinking, because if you don't tell us, we don't know. So we love that you guys are emboldened to share with us, and send us an email. Obviously, you're meeting with the superintendent, which is amazing. But just share. We want to know. So don't ever feel like we don't, because even if we don't all agree, we still want to hear your perspective.
I'll say, as an alumni of the district, I had a couple meetings with the superintendent when I was a student. We weren't talking about it. What you guys are talking about.
What were you talking about?
The direction my life was heading to,
Well, you must
and the
have done a
choices
good
I
job.
was making. I'd like to say those records have all been expunged since I've been on the board. Okay, we have lots more celebration going on here.
We have a couple more celebrations. Our first celebration is for HOSA. And I think as we talk about HOSA, right, we'll celebrate 2 students tonight. But before we start talking about HOSA, as we think about HOSA and FBLA, which we're going to celebrate as we move forward tonight, those are only made possible because of adults. Adults create opportunities in our system that students benefit from. And in this system right now, we have adults doing amazing work to provide students with fantastic opportunities. HOSA, we have sponsors for that. That HOSA stands for Health Occupation Students of America. We have one of our wonderful sponsors here tonight, Taylor Summers. Ms. Summers, would you be willing to come up and walk us through what it looks like, and then bring your 2 students? Maybe Hayden
I
Ashland.
want to honor Hayden.
Maybe we have our students, and Kayla, since we're back in our old room, if we could have students come up with you and they can talk about their events and how they did at nationals.
Great.
And I was planning on being brief anyway, so I'm so glad you pointed that out. Thank you. HOSA is really for our students who are interested in pursuing a career in medicine, and we have grown and grown and grown every single year. We're about to start our 4th year in HOSA. We started with 11, and we had 29 this last year, 41 to state, and we had 2 go to ILC. We skipped national straight to international. So big in HOSA. And I want to give them all the time to talk about experience, but I just want to say how proud I am as their sponsor and all the hard work that they put in. And I want to thank their families who took my did not go with them this summer. Their families went with them and supported them the whole. So all of you families that are here supporting your kiddos, you are amazing, and we appreciate everything you do for your kids. So thank you. So I have Emma and Miley, and I'll let them talk. Thanks.
Okay, my name is Emma. I'm a senior at Roosevelt this year, and I'm currently our chapter president. And I competed in research, persuasive writing, and speaking at internationals. I ended up taking 4th, which was super cool. It was a really good experience. I had a lot of fun. I feel like it was kind of, because it was an event that I did at state, so all the hard work was done, and it was super nice to just go and have fun and compete, and I got a lot of cool people and do a lot of cool things, so it was kind of just a little reward, so it was super fun and great experience.
I'm Riley today, and it was my second time visiting RSC for hosting this year. I competed in clinical specialty, which involved me doing some shadowing at a dental clinic and practicing skills related to that profession. I did not end up placing in my event, but I did get special recognition from my judge. She met me out in the expo hall and told me I was her favorite. So that was nice. It was an amazing experience. I got to network with a bunch of people interested in the same thing as I was, colleges, and to go to a bunch of speaker presentations. I learned about implanted cardiac devices and dental school admissions. It was a great time.
Todd and Emma, we'd love to, as a board, come around front and shake your hand. We've got a little token for you at the backside.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations. Sorry, I put you on the spot.
Oh, yeah, let's do a picture with.
Oh,
they're gonna.
watch them, y'all. Just kidding.
Right up front.
How do you want us to do that? Yeah, Oh, okay, I can do that. I can do like a backflip. I don't know how we back. How do we order this?
You're a front row girl. Amy's a front
What?
girl.
Oh, you're short? Oh, yeah. They so tall enough.
Hayden might be a back row.
Emma, I guess you're middle row.
Here you are.
Riley, you want to come in us in the front row? We're so bad at this. 1, 2, 3.
Good, thank you.
Thank y'all for putting this.
All right, our next celebration is for FBLA, Future Business Leaders. And we got both high school and middle school with us this evening. Over the last year, again, in this district, we've got adults that are offering some opportunities for students. One of the things that struck me as I came aboard in this district was the continuity middle school to high school. And FBLA is one of those examples where we've got students participated in the state and national tournament in FBLA at the middle school and went right up into the high school, including our sponsor who was at the middle school and got the program going there and then went to the high school. And so I'd love to start with our high school tonight. Ms. Weber, would you be willing to join us at the podium and bring students and talk a little bit? And as Hayden's asked, turn it over to your students.
Hi, I'm Sabrina Weber, and this is we were just counting our 7th year together. Yeah, 6th year together since I was at the middle school. That's a big year because a lot of them are seniors this year, and they never talk. So I'm going to let them take it because this is what they do. So I'm very proud of them.
My name is Brandon Johnson. I'm the chapter president for Roosevelt. This year we had 50 attendees at our SOC conference and 9 national qualifiers. My event is computer applications. It's basically demonstrating proficiency in Microsoft Office and basic desktop operations. Sorry. But in FBLA we get to participate in a lot of wonderful workshops, which really give you some great experience and a lot of advice. A lot of what they are mostly is a lot of networking opportunities and a lot of college grant opportunities, which is really great for people like us, which are looking to go to college most of the time. And then I'll let Peter speak about his event.
I did public policy and advocacy, which is FBLA. I don't know, I've been doing it for so long, I can't think of anything to say about it, but, yeah, a great time. And I think
experiences that shape it. And then same with watching our little middle schoolers grow. You're gonna hear from them in a couple of minutes, but it's been really cool watching what we kind of started at middle school grow into what FBLA is now.
I lied, I am gonna share. I just want to say thank you, Nick, for doing such a good job continuing on the program. I'm so excited about the freshmen that are coming in this year. This is gonna be a tough year for me. I'll have been with our seniors for 7 years, and it's gonna be a hard one. I'm losing 30 FBLA members. So I'm excited to have my freshmen and working really hard to get to know them. It's a little different at the high school level, but it is really exciting, and something that we're doing that's new is unfortunately, TSA has not proven to be a great program. So FBLA will be the umbrella, also goes over the CIS. We're going to be over the media, we're going to take in the media department kids and the CIS, the tech nerds. We're going to take them in because we have a lot of information technology events. And so we're hoping to give them opportunity too. And what's really great is those students tend to be more antisocial. And so this is one of the best things that FBLA does is the community and the camaraderie and networking. And the pin trading really is a real thing. And every night at Nationals, we debrief. Hayden Babbage, who's not here tonight, it was Anthony. One of the two are more quiet. And they talked about how they really got, and it was Anthony, how he really got into pin trading this year and how he really got out of his comfort zone to meet a lot of people. And being in industry, you guys know how important it is for these guys to get out of themselves, go meet people. And I mean, you see the leadership that comes out of this, and these guys don't have any qualms about meeting new people and how to feel welcome. Whatever career they pursue, there's a variety up here. They're going to do great at it because they've developed those people skills. So thank you for this opportunity. It's really a joy.
Before we bring you up and shake hands with our board members, I just want to, one of the highlights for me last year, Ms. Weber extended the invitation for a couple of us to experience the state competition. And I had never been to the state competition for high school FBLA. And you walk into the Gaylord and it's 8,000 students. And what blew my mind was it's 8,000 students, and it's completely run by students. There wasn't an adult at one stage to drive the event. Students did it all. And what was really special for Roosevelt was 2 of the students that were on stage and had planned how to do it grew up in our program. One is Annabelle and one was Yaylin who graduated. So pretty fantastic, a lot of influence from Roosevelt, but a hugely impactful event for students. Even myself, as I walked down there, I learned a ton. So thanks for the invitation, but also students, thanks for the work you're doing.
Okay. We never have a plan. Pleasure. Pleasure. Here. I don't know what's happening. Sorry, y'all. I'm throwing off the whole system. I'm doubling, y'all.
Take your own hand in.
That just looks weird on so many people. Y'all, we go to the group, like, pleasure.
Congratulations.
Okay, take a picture.
You're gonna have to get it.
Yeah, you two over here.
That's why.
Oh, you want to be in the back?
According to my uterus.
You are taller than me. I'll find a window.
Sorority spot?
Yeah, sorority spot.
Yeah, we can. 2 seconds. Thank you.
Our last celebration tonight is, we have Mr. Hunley here, who, as Ms. Weber talked about, is carrying on tradition at the middle school at FBLA. Mr. Hunley, will you join us at the mic?
It's Nunley.
Nunley, sorry.
I heard you.
I saw the laughing, and, I got the sort of this. Yeah, we want them all.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, thank you for having us tonight. Yep, it's working. As you can see, we had quite a few make nationals this year. We had 23 members. Of all said and done, 19 of the 23 could have went nationals. Had the time to do it. We took 15. One person who's not up there that I want to recognize is Miley Grentz. Represented her group in the marketing mix at nationals and did a great job. But at state, it was her and a now freshman Lily Olsen that qualified as a group, and Lily could not attend, so I wanted to make sure we recognized her for being part of that as well. As you can see, we had quite a few make it, and I will let them speak. Vivian, who's our chapter president, she's now up at the high school. Miley left me for the high school. Holly, our chapter VP, if I remember correctly, placed 4th in her event at nationals. Jaden Tesh, I still have with me at the middle school for another year. Jaden Lure in the corner. And Abby Rolls right in front of her, also up at the high school this year. Ebony, high school. Aaron Tucker hiding back in the corner, still with me for another couple years. And Ethan Zetti finished second in his event at nationals, is also with us. I've got 2 thank yous, and that is Miss Weber for leading me a great program, having the roadmap, and continuing to help me along the way. Schoolers come help our kids prep events. And we hang out as much and see each other at nationals as well, because it is one nationals that both the high school and middle school are at the same time. Ms. Borson, last 2 years has been my chaperone to help me out and has been a godsend. I don't know how I'm gonna replace her this year or bribe her to do it. Holly, you need to make nationals as a high schooler. I appreciate that. That's it, but an amazing group of kids. Two things I want to say that they did not know. So Ethan, as you see, placed second in his event. What he did not know until I found it out yesterday and told him on the way over here, he actually scored a perfect score on his financial literacy test. Time difference between first and second. The other thing to let all know, even those who didn't place, I got a chance to look at results, and almost all without fail scored over the average score in your event at nationals. So you may not have been on stage, but you were all in the top half of the top kids in the entire nation in your individual events. So give yourself a round of applause. That's all I really have to say. I will let them rifle through. Liberty McLaughlin, everybody. That's perfectly understandable, man. I came here straight from football. I'm just listening to the other side and get out of here. Y'all can funnel over.
I guess I'm first. Like he said, I was our chapter president last year. I abandoned him for the high school though, so I'm coming for Miss Weber. You get to deal with me. I could have gone for 2 events. I had 2 tests that I took this, so I had a business etiquette and a leadership. That's the words. I'm sorry, I've not been home yet. I've been at school and then came here. I'm tired. And then a leadership test. I placed 3rd in my business test and 1st in my leadership, so I went for that. I don't know how I did. Apparently I did well, but did not make it on stage. We're very proud of our 2 who did though, because they absolutely deserved it. They worked really hard. Holly was the only person without a partner on stage, I'm pretty sure, other than like 2 people, and she still placed 4th. We helped her a little, but she did a lot of the hard work. So we're super proud of you. You did amazing. And yeah, Holly, come on, you get to go next.
Hi, I'm Holly Gordon. Okay. So, I've been at FBLA since my 3rd year. My 6th grade year I didn't place, but my 7th grade year I made it nationals with me, and this year I made it alone. I've been doing community service for my past 2 events. I do this thing called 100 Heroes, which is not my project, it's just a project. We do it as a whole community. I help with it and I grow it. The whole thing was to make it so the middle school got bags for students that needed it. I ended up making, 4th, I've been told. I really want to thank my whole FBLA crew, because without them, I wouldn't actually be able to make it on stage. You have to have an 85% participation in FBLA to make it up there. So thank you all for volunteering. It's a really fun project, and I'm really glad we got to go to nationals. And I made it.
Okay, I'm cool. I have been doing FBLA technically since 6th grade. I went to 1 meeting and then just never again. And then I started going my 6th grade year, or my 7th grade year. I'm going in 8th grade, and I went to nationals for a business etiquette test. And I don't know, that was kind of a fun time. I didn't make it on stage, but I had so many connections with everybody here, and they're like my best friends.
My name is Holly Grant, as I'm told. I made it to state with Lily Olson, but unfortunately, did not go to nationals with me. But I'm so happy that I got to be her partner to state, and I got to have the opportunity to go to nationals, even without my partner. And I had a super fun time. I would say my favorite part was bin trading, and I even got a dolly, so you guys don't know what that is. But
It's really important. It's a really cool pin.
It's a really cool pin. Thank you, Vivian. And it's hanging up in my room, and I get to look at it like every time I go to bed, just like, yes. So yeah, I had a really fun time.
She said thank you, I gave it to her.
Yes.
Zeddy. This is my first year in FBA. I took second in nationals and first in both of my events at state. Yeah, really grateful. It's a great program. It's amazing that many of us went to nationals that did, and I'd like to thank Mr. Nunley Morrison.
Hello, my name is Abby Rolls. My 8th grade year was my first year in FBLA, and it helped me find my voice and what I wanted to do in my future. And I got 4th at state in my test on personal finance, and it's just been a great program for me. And thank you.
My name is Jada Moore. Last year was my first FBLA. I competed in website design, and I did not place nationals, but I had a lot of fun. My favorite thing was also Pinterest, and I also got a dolly. Oh yeah, but that was Emma Brown. And she also had it. I'm Liberty. I placed 5th in state in career research, the presentation, and I was able to go to nationals because I got bumped up. And it was really fun. I did not place top 10 at nationals though. And my favorite thing was, yeah,
I placed 2nd at state for learning strategy, and unfortunately did not place at nationals. But I'm really glad I got to go as a 6th grader, and I had a good exam, but did not get a dolly part, and I'm really
So my name, yes, Aaron was our only 6th grader, which is very fun.
It's like hard to get there in 6th grade. That'll be all the things that happen. So don't undersell yourself, please. Yeah.
So my name is Ebony Vialta. I won 1st place at career research at the state, and I also won 4th place as a objective test for the digital citizenship, which means just like technology and stuff. I sadly did not get to win at nationals, which is all right. As mentioned before with Holly, during my 7th grade year, I did not qualify in my 6th grade, but it was a great experience to be able to go as a national student my 7th and 8th grade year, so that was a lot of fun. As Jules had mentioned before, there's a lot of like networking with other students, not just between Colorado and like in our region, but at a national as well as some international level. Like sometimes we get students from China or sometimes from Mexico, which is really interesting to do because we see that, oh yes, we have all of like interest as a state, but as a nation, it's very fun to see how we can communicate and like how we all connect through ELS. It's a lot of fun.
I pointed this out because he won't do it himself. Nunley is such an amazing person, and I want to give him a second to do this because not only does he run FBLA and the business education department, I had him all 3 years. I know he's a good teacher. He runs wrestling and football coaching, and he gives us the students a place where they feel like they can be themselves. I lost my mom in 6th grade. I deal with that through dark humor. Nunley was the person I knew every day that I could go to make those jokes, and I would not be judged. So he does that for every week, and that is amazing. He got me into wrestling last year, and it was a thing I needed to get myself active. He is an amazing teacher and always finds a way for students to feel welcome in his class. I just needed to point him out real quick.
Y'all funnel through, do the thing. Do the thing with the peoples.
Good job. Congratulations. Congratulations. We gotta take a picture with you. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Congrats. Congratulations. Congrats. Congratulations. Congrats, Joel. Congrats. You guys have good handshakes. Well done. Well done. Well done, well done.
They are.
Congrats, y'all.
Thank you.
Congrats. Oh yeah, now we gotta.
So cool.
Nah, we won't. We want you. Okay. Don't leave you around. Guys, come back. We'll finish it there. We don't mind now.
Alright, y'all wanna.
They're all you guys are.
Really?
You guys did it. You know how to do it. I would do it. Worst case scenario. I trust you. Huh? Yes, I can. Found a way down. Y'all are awesome. 1, 2. All the parents.
Parents of middle schoolers, you may stay if you like, but understand, if you would like to run, you can go. Thank you very much. I'll hang it does that.
How fancy is that?
Okay. Okay.
Not a lot of people from that. And so, got the dollar pin, you're like basically famous. So, yeah. I traded. Yeah, hold the award from this cake. Picture ready.
President Williams, that concludes celebrations from the superintendent.
Okay, any other celebrations that we need to acknowledge? Oh yeah,
I do think there's one more song.
there is one more. There's one more. So two weeks ago, we had the Colorado Association of School Boards regional meeting. We had it over at the Toynton Academy in Greeley. And it was pretty awesome because we had one of our board members be honored there. She could not be in attendance because of her work schedule, but her doppelganger was there. Oddly enough, CASB has hired a former superintendent from the East Plains whose name is Monica Johnson.
She's like Dan's version.
But it's exciting because our Monica Johnson was honored with the McGuffey Award, which is the highest award that a school board member can receive in the state of Colorado. And so there's no way I could read this, so I've asked Vice President Sassano to read the nomination that was sent in.
Monica Johnson exemplifies the spirit of the McGuffey Award through her balanced, thoughtful leadership. As a board member, is deeply community-minded and consistently puts students at the center of her decisions. Monica is a strong advocate for education and lifelong learning, not only for students, but also herself, approaching board service with a genuine eagerness to grow in her understanding of school governance. Calm presence brings steady guidance to our board, especially during challenging conversations. Monica is approachable and grounded, making community members feel heard and their concerns valued. Her dedication to respectful dialogue and informed decision-making has strengthened our board and our district. Monica represents what is best in public service.
Gosh, thanks, you guys.
So you get your official red apple. You have to wear it all the big events.
You.
Yeah.
I can forget to wear it.
I just carry mine in my briefcase. But then there's your
Oh, thanks, you
con
guys.
certificate with the what Nate read for you. So.
Thank you so much. That is
Go
so.
back, sorry.
Pretend you're presenting it.
Here you are, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I don't really love attention that much, but thank you for doing that. That was a beautiful nomination. And I was telling my husband today, we were talking about the school board, and I said, oh, this is my way, because once you volunteer in elementary schools, then you're really active, and then your kids get to be teenagers and they don't really want you around anymore. So this is my ability to stay active in my children's school career, whether they want me to or not. And it just means a lot to me that I get to do that and be involved with the school and with my kids, and proud of all of our kids in this district. So thank you.
And I think that concludes our celebrations. Did I hear something about cake?
Cake!
Let there be cake. We'll go ahead and we'll take a recess to do some refreshments and celebrate.
Amy.
Can you?
Sir, we're live.
Okay. Also, it's 7:20. We'll resume the board meeting. We'll move into our reports and comments from board members. Monica, anything new exciting happening with you?
I have to turn the microphone on.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm sorry, you want us to start?
Wait, yeah. We'll actually start down on that end with Liam.
Leo, do you have anything to report? What have you been microphones next week? I'm okay with that. Like, okay, so, like, what I usually add the meeting, so that we have superintendent's advisory board, and then.
Yeah, so school's a month ago, obviously cross country has started, so practice every day. We've had 2 so far. We had great news next. I really enjoyed that. We had some input that we gave Sidex, so like some new food. I've actually been going to the cafeteria the past week trying to see what the food's been looking like, and it's actually really good job. Really happy with what they've been able to do, and I'm looking forward to meeting in the future and also being able to go out to the elementary schools and other schools around the district to see what those students think about lunch and maybe why parents are choosing to pack lunches rather than actually having the school provide lunch.
I'll kind of like tail off of Liam's, obviously, the same meetings, but and working with my CASB team at the state level, we're making sure that that student experience this December is ideally like something students can take away from. So I get to be one of the heads on that, which is really exciting. I'm super busy over at Ames working on a couple of those connections, which is really cool. We have 3 kids from Roosevelt in this in-front program over there, which is really awesome. It's all paid for, and it kind of gives us the chance to, you know, approach our careers in a little bit of a different way. And then the last thing that's kind of significant is I was able to go to the Lunch and Love event. We hosted, what was that, last Friday at Roosevelt? So I was there representing FBLA and HOSA and the idea. So it was a lot of fun to kind of see how that worked and how we could kind of integrate students knowing what they can get involved in.
I was at the Sodexo meeting, and that was very informative. Really excited about the future that they have in their district, and I'm also excited to go speak with the elementary school students about that. My interesting thing, really, the only thing I can think of at the moment is the football game. And it's the first one, so everyone's like excited. But I did appreciate the attendance of the student section because I know last year like it started to go a little downhill as the season progressed. So I hope we can keep that attendance up. And the atmosphere is always good, but it was really cool seeing it this year. And I feel like everyone was really into the game. And yes, it's easy to do when we're winning, but I feel like everything went really smoothly. So props to the student section leaders for putting that all together. Yeah, that's kind of the only thing I got right now.
Oh gosh, sorry. I'll remember not to touch that.
Fire her. Is your family here? They're still here to drive me away?
I really thought they were here to publicly like dismiss me from the school board, so. But I wish Evan was still here just for this because my report this week is I'm so grateful for all of the staff throughout our school district. Everyone says there isn't a tired that is quite like the first month of school tired. And not only do they teach all day, but then they perform extracurricular activities and they're so involved with the students. And I'm eternally grateful for the hard work, dedication. We saw here tonight how much all of our programs are growing. These are programs that we probably wouldn't have been known to be our strength at Roosevelt High School and Roosevelt Middle School in the past. And I feel as if that scenario is completely flipped and that we are strong contenders to be in all those arenas as we should be. So I'm just very grateful for all of the staff and their work and their dedication.
All right. Well, I looked at the calendar and I think first day of school haven't passed since the previous board meeting. So I kind of want to take a backtrack. I want to talk about MIS a little bit. I want to thank the district admin team because when this idea was first brought to take MMS and convert it to MIS, I couldn't see the vision, thought it was a little batty, and wasn't sure if it would work. Honestly, and I've told you this in private, but it's really incredible. I appreciate the vision and persistence that that team had to show me and the rest of the community that it was possible to prolong a bond a little bit, at least, and it was possible to bring the Middle Kingdom kids back to town. I constantly hear great things about MIS. The kids love it, especially, what is that room off of the old library? What is that room called? Like in the mindful room? Oh my God, I hear about that all the time. So it's fantastic, and I'm hearing really great things. So thank you to everyone and his team and for the vision. My youngest is a freshman, and so she's insistent that I could take a different route to work to drop her off most months rather than her riding the bus. So we have compromised to a couple of days that we're doing such said things. And I take another neighbor girl, and their perspective of the drop off in the morning is a very interesting one about how it could be better. I have interesting ideas. But what stands out to me is Chad is out there every morning. So there's not always someone at the beginning of the U of drop off at the high school, but Chad's there. And since my children ever started school, pickup and drop off has been like a nightmare. It's something that I always try to pawn off on my spouse because I just get so angry. And it's gone really well at the high school. And so it was really good when the middle school did their thing, and having this out there is fantastic. It's an extra duty. It's not fun, I'm sure, standing out there in your cute little vest, but it really does help things get going. And every morning when I do think that there's got to be something better than having Chad standing out there. So I think that's something maybe we could partner with town of Johnstown, since that street is technically theirs, and how we can help with the flow of traffic out in the afternoon. But just the fact that they're willing to do that really does help, and so I do appreciate that.
Okay. We'll just go around.
Okay.
You can go last.
Okay.
Business first. I was scheduled to go to the ASB delegate conference this weekend, Friday and Saturday. Need to back out for a family reason. So if you want to attend, I think Michael will be there at that one
Friday.
on Friday.
I'll be going Friday.
But if anybody else wants to attend that, let me know and let Jessica know, and we'll
Can
get
you
that.
remind me, please?
It's in Loveland at the Embassy Suites, I believe.
On Saturday?
On Saturday, yep. Scheduled 8 to noon. It usually goes longer than that. So if you're interested, let me know. We'll figure it out.
I'll get back to you because I think I found myself with it on schedule, which is weird.
Oh, lucky you.
No.
Sure you want to fill it up?
I know, right?
Other than that, I think, like Amanda said, this is the first business meeting we've had since school started. And it had been a pretty great start to the school year, I think. There's a few hiccups, buses and traffic patterns and class schedules and those kind of things are always a bit of an issue. But overall, I think it's been a really good start to it. So what I always want to say is just like Monica did, thank you. Thank you to our teachers, to our paras, to our bus drivers, to our janitors and custodial staff, to our administrators, to our volunteers, anybody who has a hand in making our schools run as well as they do. Just needs a big thank you. When you see those folks out and about, tell them that, because it is, like I said, a lot of work. Doesn't seem like it all the time, but it is a lot of work to make our schools run as they do. So thank you to all those folks who do that. The other thing I wanted to comment really quickly. School's off to a great start. Staff's working hard. Students are doing great. Our athletes are performing well. We did go to the football game on Friday, and the one thing I want to comment on is not the football team, although they did great. We've been talking a lot about the music programs in our district, and especially at the school where they have 200 kids on a stage in the choir and 200 kids on the stage for the band. This is the first year that I could actually hear the band in the stands. So the band is on the same side as the fans that are in the stands, and their noise projects out. This year, you can hear them on the same side as the fans. So it's a good comment on how that program is growing, how we're encouraging that growth. It's not just about athletics. It's not just about academics at Roosevelt. There are a lot of great opportunities and things like our music programs too, that we're starting to see the benefit of at the high school. So that was really exciting. The marching band is probably twice the size that it was last year. I'm guessing Hayden can probably tell us exactly how many are in there.
We were expecting about 45 members, and this year we're in the lower 60s, which is probably the biggest we've been in a while.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we grew significantly more than we thought we would, and it's been such a blessing. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, it was noticeable, and I think maybe new uniforms too. If I saw that. Okay, new. Somebody did a great job cleaning. Anyway, it's fun to see that growth in programs that we have intentionally targeted and identified as good things for our middle school group that have then now moved on to our high school group. So that's exciting. That's it.
I'm loud anyway. We also attended the football game, and you stole a lot of what I was going to say.
Sorry.
Really enjoyed the student section. Feedback received was you guys need to help the freshmen learn some school spirit, and I know you're working on it. The student section was full, like flowing over. It was pretty cool. And the band was great. Your color guard, everybody did a great job. It was a fun game to be. Then, of course, going to softball because that's what you do. Coaching now too. Have a couple kids from Roosevelt. It's outside of the side at the high school, but have a few kids from Roosevelt that are playing competitive with us. I have 3 at the high school. 3. Pray for me, please, regularly. It's been a great start, and yeah, we see Chad and Benson and and another officer. I'm not sure who it is. Out helping. It does help immensely to have the officer out there, especially directing that traffic flow as we exit the drop off. That has made things go a lot smoother. I'm used to the roundabout, going through it a lot. But it's there, and it's going to stay there. I need to get used to it. I like the input the students have given us, especially about schedules and meeting with your counselors. That's feedback I've received from my own children, and you guys are talking about it. I love that Ben's working with you on it, and I think it was all better this year. I don't know what you guys thought. It was for my kids, their experience, and other kids that I've heard from had a better experience. So thank you guys for working on that with Mr. Benson, and I think there's been a great improvement there. But yeah, I also have a kid started at CSU last week, so I've been doing things. So CSU and Roosevelt will take up a lot of my time, but it's a great reason to be busy. So,
yeah.
That's all I have. That's you don't need I work and go to softball. Pretty much.
All right. I don't have a whole either. I was going to mention, I sit on the Weld County Workforce Development Board. I'm chair of the youth committee with that young man over there. He's co-chair. There's 4 of us. But we're getting ready to have our fall meeting. We're going to be talking about AI in the workplace. Trying to get all different angles on that, what employers might be looking for, what employers are concerned about, what students know, what students don't know. So I can send the invites out to you guys when we have it set and go on.
He did try to get out to Jeremy Yara about
Okay.
So, I mean, I know he's done a presentation actually at the beginning of school, which, it's kind of, I know you were talking about, or maybe it was the LO presentation about that, AI presentation during, orientation for staff.
Oh, yeah.
So they wanted to reach out to him, so here's a reason why that.
It's got like, that's not that one. Yeah, and the kind of exciting part is the guy, Colorado Digital, is really our big contact with that. So, you know, all our online students are using that program. So some of the big thought leaders on that are already kind of integrated in district. So that's some exciting stuff. We did speaking of workforce development, we did have a joint workforce meeting with County a couple of weeks ago, and it was interesting because the topic was of this shift that workforce development boards are really going to start pushing, especially in this region, of skills first hiring, which is exciting because we're positioned really well for that with the CTE programs that we have. And that's not to say that, you know, a degree is not going to be lose any value in this equation, but especially at entry-level jobs, they're really pushing the idea of skills first hiring. We had the Casby regional meeting 2 weeks ago, as I said, at Toynton over in Greeley. It was an interesting event to be at. Because we're probably one of our districts in the region. Listening to like St. Vrain and District 6 talk about some of the programs that they're offering. Scott and I were kind of laughing. Superintendent from District 6 was sitting right behind me, and she was talking about how they have all these 17. She said we have 17 pathways that we can offer. And so I almost turned around and said, "Is that it?" But 10 years ago, we couldn't have had any pride in the conversation, and so it was nice to sit there, hear what's happening in the region, and I truly believe that the work that we've done in this district is, and you're kind of the one who said it when we first met. It's the high tide that's raising all the ships. They're gonna start doing things better than us, and that's great. I mean, that's fantastic. But I think, you know, there was a time when Roosevelt and Weld RE-5J wasn't a focus for the region, and I think a lot of school districts, big and small, are looking at us as a model to emulate. It was really evident to me, anyway, in that room as they were talking about how they're expanding programs. So, good job, us. That was an exciting thing to see. CAS Delegate Assembly is this weekend, Friday and Saturday. So the delegates will vote, while they're voting on Saturday. Fridays is going to be kind of some work sessions. There's a few interesting things coming up. The one that I'm a little, so I'm part of the legislative review committee. One that actually made it in that I was not a big fan of, and I spoke vocally against it, was there's some smaller school districts in the southeast that are really struggling to get board members to serve. The district in question, they're kind of a little dynasty thing there. His dad was on the board for like 30 years. He's going into year 25, something like that. So it's been in the they have like 30 eligible candidates. And so they want to press state legislature to make a change where you could allow one at-large seat on a school board from somebody who doesn't live within the boundaries of the school district, but they have to be a direct relative of a student who's attending school district. I don't think that's going to go terribly, because you run into this situation where you have people who are voting and spending dollars that they're not contributing to or not. So that would be the only one that I would whoever wants to be the delegate and whoever wants to, I would say, vote against. Everything else is pretty much common sense. But I'll have a root from at our next meeting we come out of that. So is all I have. Does anybody else have anything else before we move on? Okay, let's move on to the report from the superintendent's office.
You know, lots of what I have to report on, we touched on, talked a little bit about the President of Wales at Casby. That was fascinating to be there and to hear some of the proposals, and the one you just talked about struck me as probably not a great direction. A couple of you talked about the music programs, and I remember a conversation we had, or I had with board members right as I came on, right around music, and for me, music is pretty close to the heart. And I've said to the group, I think you have a successful school when you have a successful ed program and a successful performing arts program. If one of those is lacking, and partway there, and it doesn't matter which one, right? Those are things that you need to have a thriving high school, in my opinion. What we're seeing with band is exciting, the marching band's exciting, and I would tell you, Haley's constantly talking to me about the marching band, right? So that's pretty awesome to have that as a torch that she's bringing. To hear the numbers at the middle school is super exciting for the district. But I was in my, one-on-one with Mr. Benson last week, I think, and as two-on-one, students in there. They were singing "Oh Danny Boy," and it sounded ready for a concert or very close. And so for me, that gave me some chills about where we're going at the high school, in addition to the middle school. And so when you take a look at that, also having conversations about growing the performing arts program, right? And how do we leverage as a district and support some of the things going on there. So for me, we're sitting in a good spot where we're watching, and you talked already about watching programs grow. That one's been right in front of our eyeballs, which is pretty neat. And then I would just say we had a meeting last week around long-range planning, continuing to talk about that. Most of our focus last week was on the numbers and movement that we have in the district, and some of the odd movement that we've seen this year that's different than years past. I think last time we talked about numbers, there was requests from the board to share with you some of the movement we've seen. Yeah.
Real quick, I got to tell the funny story about Ed Casby. So since talking about numbers, Mr. Everest, you will appreciate this. So they asked us to go around the room and introduce ourselves, what district we're from, and what the current student count is. And I was to beat Scott to the punch, but he got up, he gave our numbers. But I got up and said, our CFO doesn't like to talk about student count until after the October count. So we're going to redact everything he just said.
Michael has angst because we did agree that we would be transparent with our board and transparent with our union, just in where we are, just about it. And it's a source of pride in some respects, right? As you talk to so many districts around us that are losing enrollment, and we aren't. We're in a position where we're experiencing an uptick right now. And so one of the things I just wanted to tell the board is we will communicate some of the intricacies of movement from charters to regular schools, from the regular to charter. And we don't have good information on ins and outs yet. That's something we get from the state. It comes in later in the year. But I would just say, as we're looking today, actually I should say as we're looking at the end of last week, because Michael's last poll was at the end of last week. And it happened to be when I was with Michael at Casby, I had an email from Michael from the week before where so I was actually able to speak to the exact numbers. It wasn't even just a rounding. But we are sitting right now as a district of 206 students. And it is interesting, some of the conversations we had that was identified when we talked about enrollment. in front of the long-range planning, because there's a couple things that happened this year that are different. One of which is, right now, our KQA is experiencing quite a bit of shift in 8th grade. 8th grade is probably 55 or 60% full. And we experienced a pretty large shift at Civica in the grade. Civica's 8th grade last year was about 43 or 44 students. This year in their 9th grade, it is 17. So a big shift from the late middle school to the high school. And those are two shifts we had not witnessed in the district that clearly before. And again, that was identified, called out by the long-range planning last week as something for us to pay attention to. Our middle school numbers are up about 70 students, 65 students from October count, and our high school is up about 100. So those are big jumps. 1 year, district-wide, we're up about 6%. So I think just something to pay attention to. And then an add-on that was outside of long-range planning, but the conversation really had to do with long-range planning. I had my first one-on-one with the new fire chief from Front Range Fire Authority, and we connected, and really the conversation was, how do we start thinking strategically about a partnership where we can have internships, we can have experiences, potentially we can also have space that our students could leverage for learning that as a pathway. And he was very open to talking about some of what they have in front of us, and further conversations for he and I to engage in, and for us to bring that into the mix as we're talking long-range planning. So a great couple of weeks.
Any questions? All right, sir. We will move on to our consent agenda. So our adopted rules of parliamentary procedure provide for a consent agenda listing several items for approval of the board by a single motion. Most of the items listed under the consent agenda have gone through board review and recommendation. Documentation concerning these items has been provided to all board members and the public in advance to assure an extensive and thorough review. The item may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any board member. Otherwise, I would entertain a motion.
I'll move to the consent agenda as presented.
Second. I have a motion by Director Proctor, a second by Vice President Sano to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. We'll move into our special business. Although, no recess? Anybody need recess?
Cake in it? No.
Get a refill on cake. Okay. Our first item, I guess we changed that. Our first item is the out-of-state trip request for cheer nationals.
So President Wales, board members, we brought this forward. This is a request we have from cheer, but part of the reason we brought it forward is we'd love to get feedback. We've had a chance to talk to both President Wales and Vice President Sassano about requests like this being part of consent when it's this early year. They're asking for travel permission to go in late January, February, whatever time frame that is. And so for us to do consent with then bringing the teams back when it's closer to when they're going, where they can talk to the board about what their plans are, where they can talk to you about any requests they have for money. But more importantly, you can wish them best of luck as they move. This is awkward to do it this early. You're not going to wish them best of luck when they go in February. And so that's a request if it's just a travel request, that it just be in consent. And if one of you would like to pull it off, you're welcome to, but wanted to get a sense. And then tonight, given it's on there, have you vote potentially one line for one in as a special business. Feedback on that?
So just to clarify, this doesn't mean that we're not bringing the cheer team in. It's just because the request at this point isn't asking for any money. They're only trying to set their plan in motion so they can reserve room. once they get closer to the date that they'll go, they'll talk to us, and or after the event, they'll come talk to us. But, so.
Does it require a vote tonight just for travel?
That's essentially what we were allowing them the overnight piece of it, so.
Okay.
Hey, I was reading your mind, yep.
You're reading my mind. Like a comment, not necessarily anything bad, but I do feel like a lot can change in over a couple months as far as situations that may or may not happen, and that's with any club, organization, team. But I just wanted to point that out. Is again, it's just like travel for like outside of the state, and we have not had anything big happen with anyone really, but it was just a concern that popped into my mind. We're approving this a couple months in advance. I'm not against it. It was a concern that like a lot can happen in a couple months, and it's, I don't know. That was my thought on that a little bit. I hope that makes sense.
It does make sense, and I think you're right, Hayden. It's probably not ideal to do it this way, but what they need is approval to go purchase plane tickets.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's what they need.
I get that.
So that's, I think, when it's this far in advance, and all we're saying is, sure, go buy your plane tickets, because the cheer team's already been qualified, I guess, to attend nationals. They're going to go, right? It's just, who might go might change, during the course of the year. But the team is going to go. So I hear you. You're right. It is, things could change. And I don't know if we even have a process for removing permission if that was to be a situation. But I think in cases like this, it does make sense just to put it on the consent agenda. Because all we're really doing is saying, go buy your plane tickets, go book your hotel rooms so that it's cheaper than doing it, 4 weeks ahead of time. So I don't
know. You can go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, is there any possibility that if this was something like urgent, like plane tickets were on sale and advisor sponsor needed to hear back, is there any way that we could vote on something like this virtually without having a special meeting or without being in a business meeting? Like, is that something you're able to do?
We could call a special meeting, and the evolution of this is how that originally started. So where we saw them quite a bit was like with the baseball team.
Yeah.
They would put in to go to a baseball tournament and be told you're kind of on a waiting list because the tournament's full, and then they get like 3 days out from the tournament, and the organizers would say, hey, look, we had to drop out, you can have the spot. But it was like it was between one of our meetings, and so we would have to call special meetings to allow them to do that. So we changed it that they don't need to come to us unless they're actually crossing the state line. So if they're going to stay within the state, they're fine. But if they're crossing the state line, then we want to know about it. We want to make that determination. So that kind of cut down on that a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's always that possibility. In an emergency or sudden situation, we can convene a special meeting. We have to have 24 hours. We have to notice it 24 hours.
I can speak for FBLA. A couple years back, we had to go on separate flights by the time all was said and done. Like, Galen and I had an event, and our flights got, I think Nate knows about the situation, but then our flights got canceled and then delayed. So we actually had to go on a flight with our chaperone. So I definitely think leaving that flexibility for those situational things that just arise, or like you said, the baseball team, they just got a tournament that's open in Wyoming, for example.
Right. And I think in a situation like I said we don't care about that.
We do care.
Well, we do, that. Yeah. We don't have to take in a Concorde or private Learjet just to fly. But once we've approved the request to go out of state, we understand that travel would be.
What I was going to say is I don't think I would like it on the consent agenda if they were asking for money, because I think that involves a conversation about fundraising efforts and why they're asking for the money. So I think that's my mediation, is if they're asking for money, they need to be on a regular agenda item.
Yeah, I concur with you 100%, Director Brock. I think that's what the proposal right now is in an effort to try to allow coaches to think about travel further ahead. As we've had two now, we had one a month ago and we had one tonight that they're talking about travel a long time. And we've had wrestling coaches that are asking for 6 months, 8 months. But then get to nuts and bolts and they're looking at fundraising. I would propose that even when they're not asking for money, but having them come so they can talk about the agenda, what they're doing, give her some information about the trip, and give you a chance to say, good luck, represent Roosevelt well, whatever it is the board would like to say. That would be our proposal, friend, is that, but it certainly would include any time asking the district for money.
Softball, they do that too. Softball doesn't, we don't say a lot of softball because you guys don't, there's not a lot of out of state with the high school team.
That one's not good. We,
Baseball did a lot.
I mean, things can change. Somebody buy their ticket and then fail other classes and they can't go, but that's all, you know.
It's kind of wrapped up in that.
Yeah, have to follow policy, have to comply with the athletic policies and the cheer policies. So, I'm comfortable with it.
So we need a motion tonight though, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I'll move to approve the cheer nationals trip.
Second.
We have a motion by Vice President Sassano, a second by Director Johnson. That thing just got really loud for me. I apologize for all of you who are standing 10 feet away from me. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing Steve on
Monica Johnson?
Yes.
Amanda Proctor?
Yes.
Nate Sassano?
Yes.
Amy Musgrave?
Yes.
Michael Whale?
Yes. So our next item is the School Resource Officer IGA with the town of Milliken.
Thanks, President Wales and board members. Tonight we bring forward an update to the SRO agreement, and really what to this was as we moved away from the middle school into two elementaries or splitting the elementary. We worked with the town of Milliken to augment, if you will, or think about use of that SRO. So what you can see represented in the IGA tonight, or the add-on to the IGA, is really just a delineation of how the SRO's time should be utilized. We talked to both KQ and Civica about support for the SRO, so that it's not just the district paying for the SRO for all the time they're spending at all the schools. KA stepped in at 20%. So as we were talking to the chief, we felt like Civica was not in a position to step in at 10% or 20%, but we still felt like no matter what, with the SRO, there needs to be some collaboration, communication, a willingness for the SRO to spend a little time so that when they have to respond to something in Civica, there's a relationship. And so what you can see is 70% of the SRO will be split between Milliken Elementary or our K3 and our intermediate K2 can't even talk. Split between the two Milliken elementary schools, 70% of the time. 25% would be AQA, and that's the 20% they're paying for. And if the comparable 5% that we felt like we can support the Civica KQA, if you will, get to know or build a relationship, or and so that's the donation there. That's what the district asked for, and the town of Milliken came back with. So currently, you're seeing 70% will be supporting those two schools for us. The district is now paying 80%. In the past, the district was paying 100%, and we had support for both of those two schools as well. So that's a change, and we feel good about the support we have, but also having one of our schools come alongside and take some of the payment of that. So we'd ask tonight for you to approve that. The town already has.
I have a question just to make sure, or two questions, just to make sure I'm understanding right. first of all, this is one SRO being split between the schools and the town of Milliken, correct? Okay. Not that, I know this is strictly just with the town of Milliken. Does Johnstown have the same agreement, or is there like multiple SROs at the schools in Johnstown?
Currently in Johnstown, there's one.
Okay.
Assigned to Roosevelt High School, but reports to other district schools. In fact, Weld needs support. That's who they call. As a district, we're in conversation with the town of Johnstown about increasing that. But right now we have one full SRO in the town of Johnstown.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And you know, it might not be a bad idea for us to have this as a work session presentation on how these IGAs work. Because it's been a long time since we've done that. You guys probably haven't sat through them, have you?
An IGA thing? I live in IGA.
I know you do, but specific on how we structure these for the SROs.
Amanda lives in that world, but yeah, I haven't done it with the school board.
Yeah, it might be a good topic for us to discuss.
So just the agreement delineates time that the officer will be spending at each of our buildings. I think that's fine. And KQA has agreed to pay some of the cost of that effectively. Is that lined out in our agreement with KQA and or with Civica? Do we? No, I haven't. I should have prepped you with this question, but I literally just thought of it.
I don't believe it is.
I wonder if it should be, or if we, as we look to renew contracts with our charters in particular, if we shouldn't specify all out if they want that service, and it's, I think, a necessary service to have that SRO be able to respond and have a relationship with the people in that building. We shouldn't ask them to put a little skin in the game.
Yeah, we certainly could put it in the agreements, and where the agreements were both with KQA and Civica. It was an open question to find out whether they would support us in a contract with the town. That was a way for us to support us, but also trim our costs. We had some conversations inside the district last year of potentially trying to go down to a halftime SRO just in general and offering to pay only a half time. That really is burdensome for Milliken if we make that decision outside of their calendar year. So a way through that was talk to the schools and try to get some support from them and potentially Civica as they move forward and think about it as a budget item. And then as we update, and Civica's, that contract will be due for us to look at in one more year. So I think it's really worth.
It's just something to kind of keep on our radar, I think. And I have no problem with the agreement as it is. I think it's a sound agreement. I just something to think about as we're going forward. KQA's is coming up too, doesn't it? I know they have a 30-year contract.
I thought it was light. I mean, we're obviously closer to it than we were last year.
I feel like they're still.
It's decades.
Yeah. I mean, they had a really long.
They're still decades on? Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind.
They had a.
If we need to consider an addendum with them, then.
Well, the addendum could be with the district administration fees, because the district charges administration fees to QA to some degree about percentages. That's probably where the addendum is more appropriate than the charter agreement.
Yeah.
It's with the administration costs.
Anyway, something like that.
Any other questions? Liam and Bill?
I like an IGA that calls us who we are, a school district. We appreciate that.
Gold star on that one?
Little gold star. I saw that and I was like, melt my heart. All right, I'm going to motion to approve the first amendment to the intergovernmental agreement between the Techland and Weld RE-5J for a joint school resource officer program.
I'll second.
We have one Director Proctor, second by Director Johnson to approve the First Amendment to the IGA between the Town of Milliken and Weld County School District RE-5J for a joint school resource officer. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Jessica, would you please pull the board?
Monica Johnson.
Yes.
Amanda Proctor.
Yes.
Nate Fasano.
Yes.
Amy Musgrave.
Yes.
Michael Wells.
Yes. Next item is the district accountability membership approval and the charges. And this is this discussion at this point, right? No. Well, we just need to approve the membership, but the charge is still open discussion.
President Wales, board members, Assistant Superintendent Primer's working on the district accountability. We'll talk to you a little bit tonight about membership. You'll see in there's a couple seats she's working on, but also talk a little bit about some of the proposed topics, but also then open it up for conversation with you to your thoughts on potential topics for that group.
So, good evening, President Wales, members of the board, Superintendent. You'll see on the district accountability membership page, there's a couple of links. Chairperson is one, because obviously we'll determine that as we move. Board member is another one, so we'll have to determine who might represent the board.
Is this what we're doing before?
I mean, what nights are district accountability meetings?
Thursday nights. They are all on, we switched them up this year. It's Wednesdays.
Wednesdays?
September, I can tell you the dates if you want to.
Oh, you're right, it's a Wednesday.
What'd you say, Dan?
I never thought of Thursdays, but you're correct, they're on Wednesdays. I can't read a calendar.
So
Thank you,
September
Tammy.
24th, November 12th, February 11th, April 22nd. Those are for the 4 quarters. Last year, we ended up meeting more than that, depending on the charges that the board determines. That will determine if we need additional meetings. The makeup of the committee, there's only a couple missing spots, and the principals are working on those to fill in those spots. We have a community member, Pat Murray, the Y. He was with us last year too. Some school administrators, teachers, and some district admin, as well as parents from every school.
I have a couple questions. First of all, just because I noticed, is there any reason that the RHS principal and Civica principal are not included on the school administration list?
So we have determined that having all of the principals on there is a little redundant because they work together. So we have them just communicate with one another. So the Civica and QA principals, we reached out to them. They thought they could communicate together. We meet with all of our district principals. So
Okay.
Good question. Thanks.
And then my second thing is, I know we're talking about board members on the committee, but is there also an opportunity for maybe one of the student boarders to also sit on the committee, or is, I don't know what the rules are applying to this accountability board?
Oh,
No, I think it's great. And
we used to actually have student members on there, but
yeah, we did that before.
it was hard. It was hard to get there because the meeting always took place during a practice or something like that. So.
Yeah, that is a great point. We used to have some, and it would be hard for students to come because of schedules.
Okay.
So that's a great question.
I think Aiden just volunteered.
Sounded like it.
Well, if it sounds like it's during a time where you might not be able to get there, we could have, all 3 of us on, and only one of us has to show up each time, but at least we have options. If someone can't show, then someone else can.
I think that's a great idea.
Liam, it's your turn.
And they're from 5 to 6 and here at the district office.
It's on the alternating Wednesday, it's not board.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
But only 4 times throughout the school year, so
Okay. Oh.
not every.
Yeah, the goal is once a quarter. So.
Perfect.
Well, good. That was the question I was going to ask, is if we could do something with the student representative, if we could try to get representatives back, and so.
Love it. Michael and I are on the same board.
That's right. It's
Be happy to answer any other questions about the membership.
I know we had spoke out some of the topics we wanted to cover. Could you refresh my memory? I know we talked about it before.
Yeah, so Superintendent Nielsen was gonna talk a little bit more about this, but we had last year, the four that we looked at were, of course, continuing to increase student outcomes and looking at unified improvement plans as part of that. We looked at long-range planning, getting feedback from the DAC last year and input for that. We really worked a lot on the portrait of a graduate. That took up a lot of our time within that group. And then our other charge was communicating, working on enhancing and systematizing our communication.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Going back to the board member, I think I did it last year.
Yeah.
You were looking at your.
So I could be a part of that.
Your
Yeah.
volunteer as well as the 3 students.
And just let me know if you can't make one or whatever too.
No, September 24th is the first one.
Yeah, and I'll send all out after we.
Perfect.
finalize the membership.
Yeah, I can make that one work for sure.
I think one of the things, just to share with the board, is we will come back with what the issues are, what the charges are when we meet again in here a month from now. But the plan would also be that night that one of the first meeting will happen a couple of days prior to that with DAC. For us, the charge remains consistent in terms of student outcomes. And so we'll be taking student outcomes with the DAC that night, but we'll also have principals there to talk about how they did and what their goals are, right? And one of the things we heard last year from our board was to make that more formal when we come back to the board. So we talked about that with principals around like the formality of that when we come to the board in a month. And it will be them talking with us how they did against the expectations that were set, what are some of the highlights, what are some opportunities, and then how does that drive their work for the upcoming year. And that will be the structure a couple of days prior to the meeting with all of them. And then I think for us, getting some feedback both around how to share with the community around the brand promise, if you will, our graduate work. So continuing that has some connective tissue to the DAC already. So to continue to keep that alive there. And also feedback for long-range planning thinking, right? Is long-range planning a chance to share that work with the DAC accounting board around some of what we're starting to talk about in there, and also have back and forth with the board around next moves with long-range planning. So those things we're thinking about. We'd love to hear if there are other topics that the board is interested in, things fit in that.
Didn't we discuss boundaries with the DAC, getting input on just projecting where our growth would occur and then letting the DAC have input? And didn't we talk about that? Am I making that up?
That certainly is work we're doing with our currently.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That nice thing is, that we've kind of taken that away, not taken away from DAC, shifted it to long-range planning because it fits more kind of in their wheelhouse of what they're doing.
Place though that I think we could still have DAC be a little bit involved in that is around a timeline for communicating those changes. And I know they only meet quarterly, but it's a little PTSD over when we did it last time and some of the lack of communication or perceived lack of communication that was there. DAC might be able to help us with that. If something that long-range planning recommends, DAC helped us out with that communication piece. I don't know, something.
When you say last time, are you talking about last year's or 2 times ago?
Yeah. We did much better last time. 2 times ago, not so good.
Yeah, I still think the idea of communications and DAC is
good because last year was so consumed with the portrait of a graduate that I don't think we did a lot with communications. And now that we have someone in-house in communications, that might actually be a more robust conversation because I've been a part of DAC for a while. And I feel like communication is brought up every year, every other year at least in that committee. But the reason is because it's going to change. Like DAC per recommendations, like we did those start-stop board things and didn't do anything with it. It's like if we're going to, but I think we need to have some intentionality behind it. And again, with Kate, I think that we can actually, we have a staff person who can hold the baby and take it. You know.
I was going to say the exact same thing. Good. The other thing I was thinking about was, I'll say it so you don't have to, but the DAC's state charge is to deal with the Unified Improvement Plan. And I know you let the cat out of the bag a little bit in our meeting week that we're all green across the board for the first time in a long time. But I think it's time to have some serious conversations about accreditation with distinction. I know I'm taking your fire, I know, but.
Wait, did you just say we should have a serious have we not been serious?
Well, no, I mean, it's been serious among us, but I don't know that it's been taken out to the next level with the DAC in particular. What that would take to get there, is it a process of I don't know, 2-5 years? I don't know. But it's not just us talking about it, I guess, is what I'm saying. That it's time to have that conversation because really good things are happening that are leading us down there.
Yeah, there's good momentum.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you, and I think from the staff at the districts, the fire, they need to take the board to light that fire. We haven't done any work with DAC, you're right. I think we have done quite a bit of work around with principals.
Good.
And so they're excited, and I think you're seeing some movement, and there's a big jump that needs to be made, but we're positioned to do that. So continuing to keep it on the radar and set as a target is smart.
Move on to the Aldridge.
I'm going to stay out of that conversation.
The Malcolm Aldridge Award.
That takes a little more staff.
Does it? You can get the award by proving you don't need this.
Very.
Any other comments, questions on either the, so what we're going to do is approve the membership, but are there any other ideas, discussion for charges to the DAC? Nope. I'd entertain a motion for the membership.
Make a motion to approve the district accountability membership for the 2025-26 school year.
Second.
You choose.
Okay. I'm gonna offer an amendment to that because what's in the packet doesn't including our student board members as representatives, so we're approving it with addition. Are you okay if I?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have a motion by Johnson, a second by Vice President Sassano to approve membership for the 25-26 year. Oh yeah, any other discussion? I totally went to another place. It's like transcendental. Hearing none. Ms. Diagano, would you please pull the board?
Monica Johnson?
Yes.
Amanda Proctor?
Yes.
Nate Sassano?
Yes.
Amy Musgrave?
Yes.
Michael Ware?
Yes. So our next item is the meeting of policy EG, which deals with serving animals.
President Wales, board members, as we talked about a month ago, we had a conversation about service animals. Tonight we bring you first reading of EJ, ER, and then 2 appendix. The appendix that models the questions we can ask, and then the other one that talks about sort of the agreement, if you will, the student may step into when they step into this. Again, we have following with what we were asked. We went with the dog and the miniature horse, so you'll see that language throughout. We did have a chance to follow up with legal around asking for parent permission or doctor's permission. And we need to ask, can't ask, we can only ask, because we talked about last time, those 2 questions. And they are representative in Appendix A. So as we were guided by Lisa's policy, we'd love for you to take a look at and talk about, discuss, and then we would love to bring back for second reading in a month. I think this one's unique in that we already have a service animal operating at Roosevelt. And obviously, if another one came between now and our October meeting, this would be how it would operate, given feedback tonight, until we're able to do the second reading and actually formally put it in practice, because by law, we have to over the miniature horse to come in and provide services for those that fail.
So I spent some time with this. The only change I would recommend, and it's just weird how the second and the first second and third paragraph read here.
EJ or EJ?
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm in EJ.
Okay.
And I think Sun County was the only one who actually added service animal means any dog or miniature horse. Because when you get to that third graph, and it talks about animal training, it's weird because it say that a miniature horse can be treated the same as or similar to a service animal. And is that sentence out of place? Because then it says, however, under no circumstance may a miniature horse be considered treated the same as or similar to a service animal in training. It's like that sentence should either be up in that second one, because it's how you break that chain out. Like we're talking about service animals in training, but a miniature horse could be treated as a service animal, but be treated as a service animal in training. So I would say strike the sentence and either just add service animal means any dog or miniature horse, or move that sentence up there somewhere so that it a little more.
I mean, it's that in there so we don't have some rogue horse in training being all over our building.
No, but it does that. I mean, it does say.
I know, but we have to do the ones in training, but not a horse in training. We have to have a dog in training, but not a horse in training.
Right, it would still say that. It's weird that it's talking about a dog is a service animal in training, but a miniature horse can be considered a service animal.
I mean, have you spent a lot of time with miniature horses? You don't want to spend any time with them in training. They are horrible animals. They are mean.
But then it goes back to service animal in training. So it's like.
I think it's just confusing. I think
it's an interesting push. I read it the same way you did.
Fight a lot. Yeah.
But it's an interesting push.
And I'm not saying strike that sentence.
I appreciate your cautioning.
However, under this sentence should remain. However, no circumstance may a miniature horse be considered to be treated the same as or similar to a service animal in training. That sentence can stay. It's the sentence that says, because we're talking about a service animal in training and being a dog, and we've already established in the paragraph above that a service animal is a dog, but then we start talking about service animal in training as a dog, but then a miniature horse be treated the same or as similar to a service animal. I think that definitely belongs up where we're talking about service animals.
Yeah.
So you just want to move it? Because I like it. To me, it reads that.
I say we either strike miniature horse may be treated the same or as similar to a service animal, and then at the second paragraph, say service animal means any dog or miniature horse. I think that's how Sonny has theirs written.
I mean, I like or under no circumstances.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying
You're not saying strike it.
No, I'm not saying strike it. The sentence before.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
All right. We can, I think.
I've got the giggles. I'm
sorry. It's hard. It's super hard to talk about miniature horse without thinking there's a SNL skit.
Rogue miniature horse.
My algorithm is going to get all screwed up. I'm just going to get miniature horse videos. Yeah. And then I'm going to have to
Do we- yeah, it's still
I mean, if you want to move it, it's fine, but yeah. That's very, very.
It's almost so the way this reads to me now. This is going to be a horrible analogy. Let me try to. It's like saying in one paragraph saying primary colors are red, green, and yellow. In the next paragraph saying but secondary colors are violet, magenta, and black is a primary color. Like we just kind of tossed the definition of a horse in when we're talking about something. I know it's.
For me, I think in the reading, like, we're trying to make sure we define the service animal. It can be a miniature horse, but it can't be one that's in training.
Exactly.
And so we can figure out how to make that sound
A little more
like it fits.
I know it's.
I have one thing in particular. A rope.
Like, they're not trained.
Biting people in the school, like.
They will too.
Those little horses are mean.
Indeed, they are. Give me a regular horse any day. Any day.
I do have one question. I think the policy is, other than things we're talking about, is fine. The gist of it is fine. Is it worth reaching out to the family that has a service dog now and get their input on this policy specifically, just because they're with it? I said this before, I don't want to have to redo anything because they come and say, well, you didn't think about this very specific thing that has to happen with this dog. I don't know. I just think it might be worth reaching out to that family and them to look at the policy and the paperwork that needs to be done.
Yeah, we certainly can. I think one of the things, we talked about this a little month ago, is that when you look at Appendix A is the same as what we utilized. Because we only can ask those two questions,
Right.
so the group we met with answered those two questions, and at that point, we're at the mercy of, here's what we're gonna do. Expressed, I think, when we were at Elwell, I have trepidation about the many, and so was the reason for me. I wanted lack of transparent and just keep it as service animal as a dog, so that we weren't, and it's in there now for both, and so we certainly can reach out to them. What they're gonna tell us is we've already done this. They're not gonna see difference in this versus what Mr. Benson did, simply because others.
They might.
Well,
The policy they might.
I just think it's worth asking that to make sure that is,
Sure.
like I said, I just don't want to have to redo this.
Okay.
Because we didn't think about something that none of us would think about because none of us have a service dog or a horse.
Here's my question to us. If we're gonna keep the language of the policy the same, simply move two things around, are we able to come back to the board with second reading in October?
I
feel okay with that.
Yes.
I mean, assuming we don't get great feedback from the community.
Right.
Then yeah, I think so. And if we do, I guess we could still approve it as,
Yeah. We all let's jab on it.
That's the plan. We'll try to make those tweaks, keeping the language the same, but organizing them slightly different.
And did you have some? Did you want to? Are you adjusting?
No,
Oh.
it literally keeps.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, y'all.
Did you copy my pen? Interesting.
must be a long.
Trendsetter. Okay. Any other questions, discussion on this? Because it's first reading, so we're not taking action on it. All right, we will move on to our next item with the emergency approval policies resolutions. Resolution, sorry.
President Weld, board members, we received an update from CASB early last week, maybe middle of the week before. It was slightly before the CASB meeting, I think, that we received this. I'll see update that gets us up to date with law, and it was asked to be passed by September 1st, which is what prompts us to do the emergency policy resolution. So you'll see in there the emergency policy resolution that CASB shared. You'll also see a line of KLGR, and you can some of the changes that are in there. We took what CASB recommended and shared it with Kaplan and Ernest for Kaplan's feedback on what we needed to do with the current policy. So what you see in the red line version is Kaplan's recommendation based on what CASB sent. So that's what you see there. And I think, Michael, you had some tweaks or a tweak.
Well, one was a spelling. It says here.
Are you on, Michael?
It's in the resolution.
The resolution.
There's a. We had the word temporary. It should be temporarily.
Yeah.
And then the only thing I was asked for, just because it doesn't really specifically spell out what policies we're dealing with. It starts to read that way, but then it doesn't ever like say it would be set of policies. I just wanted to add a rescission clause in there that just says the board can rescind this resolution at any time. Amend, I forget what I said, amend it or rescind at any time. Because otherwise it's just open-ended, and I mean, you could say. Yeah.
And I got that copy.
What, could you read back about that?
Well, I unreaded what, it was temporarily, and then you added, let me make sure I'm looking at the right. Be it further resolved, the Board of Education reserves the right at its sole discretion to amend, rescind, or terminate this resolution at any time. You did
I could have been a lawyer. If anybody watches the Goldbergs, you know kind of. But yeah, I mean, do you want to talk to any of the policies that this could affect? I mean, it looks like we have some in there already. KLG.
Yeah. Jessica, you want to talk a little more? You got a little more. The conversation you had with Kaplan.
So actually, I'm sorry I didn't hear the question about was KLG. I do have more information. I reached out to our attorney. Really the things that are in KLG was it's not needed to implement new law. And the other recommendation they made changes to were JRA and JRC, and no changes are needed there. And that's their recommendation from Kaplan and Ernst. And then really it's the regulation that needs to be in place that we're able to facilitate that should there be the request. And then the only addition to KLG was that optional, and they're not recommending that we add, and it was one line. Sorry, I got this stack. Our current policy reads about the KLG relations with state and federal agencies. We have a bullet number 4. I guess it's not a bullet, it's a number. Protection of civil rights of individuals. And then they added an A, and it says the district is committed to protecting the immigration status of its student parents. To aid in the safeguarding of this information, the district will follow the procedures in KLGR, which according to our attorney, that's insinuated because we have a policy that that's not needed. So it's really the regulation being able to facilitate that. We do have our ML coordinator that Scott designates as that first point of contact, and then the next point of contact will be Taylor.
Okay.
So when you spoke to legal, our attorneys about this, how are we in compliance with federal law? I mean, this makes sense to me, you need a warrant, all the things, but we're all, of course, worried about federal funding and all those things. Did that get addressed?
It should be fine. It's being in line with the Senate bill.
Right.
And so it shouldn't affect any of our funding. And I think that's why our council recommended that we didn't even add that, that extra line that
The one you just read, that's
Yes.
number 4. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
That was in Casby's recommendation and council suggested we take it on.
I think that makes sense. That was the only question I had. Was about federal law.
The only reason we need the emergency policy resolution is because we need to have this in place tonight. We don't have time for 2 readings, right?
Yeah, I mean,
If it was effective, actually the Senate bill was already effective.
Right.
So it took effect September 2nd. So every district was out of compliance. And
Until they
that's why they got the emergency
Right.
Adoption and all of that facilitation for that.
Is that because CASB, the Senate bill was passed in May, is CASB, I don't know how to say this without sounding like crass, but is that, was CASB just not aware of it, or they were slow to get this and put it out, or?
I think they were actually swamped with.
Okay,
'cause
I'm
there's
trying to figure out
lots of policy
the root
change.
cause. Okay.
They do provide us a background with what is in the update, and then they provided us with some background about the legislative bill when that was effective, and that's why we got September 2nd date. And then it doesn't really address why it wasn't put into place before. I know that all of this is when there's just a lot of discussion on even like our superintendent's group of how we're gonna do this and how it came out from CASB and things like that. So other districts are also, reaching out to their attorneys and figuring that out.
I mean, I think we already don't allow unfettered access to student records and information. So, I mean, it's something we already do, and unless somebody has a warrant, we'll continue to do as we've done. I mean, we don't release that information to anyone, right?
Oh, and that was his point was, in
Yeah.
reality with what we
This
have
is
in
what we
place,
do.
we don't,
Yeah.
they're asking for wasn't necessary.
Okay.
I have a question with the designated staff member position for handling immigration matters. Here it only has that it has to be a staff member. Is that at each school or just within the district?
So we designated Brandon Trevino, who is a district employee, oversees the district, so that we could have some continuity of how the response would be at all the sites.
Okay.
And then if Brandon was unavailable, then Tammy was the next person. So it's not up to the principal or the AP to deal with those separately, that they have a contact that they can call to make sure they're walking through it the way they need to walk through it.
Okay, that's great.
Gives them support of the building, it doesn't put them on an island and handle things differently.
And Hayden, you can see that in the Clinton version that's on there.
Okay, thank you.
You have questions or comments? Well, as discussed, we need to get this guy moving, so.
But which, are we approving your new version?
That would be up to whoever wants to make the motion.
I just don't want to be incorrect.
Well, I'm just thinking about, because all we're really doing is approving, we're emergency because we don't have time for 2 readings to change this policy, right? All we're doing, once we approve the resolution tonight, the new policy is approved. So we're not giving our superintendent carte blanche to make changes to policy based on this resolution. Once we do it tonight.
But that's the thing, is it doesn't explicitly say that.
Okay.
It does use policies plural.
Okay.
And I think if this resolution specifically spelled that out, what policies, that would be the nation of the resolution.
So, and full disclosure to the rest of the board, Michael and I have a little PTSD over this because when we did this last time was the pandemic. And it went on a lot longer than we thought it was going to. So that's why we're making sure we get it right. Do we need to, I mean, you in your edited, we put temporarily approve, and then we can rescind if we want to. we need to put specific dates around that?
I don't think we need to. I would just say, if anything, Jessica's pretty good about keeping stuff on her calendar that, maybe we revisit this in 6 months and just see if there's any reason for us to keep it going, if there's another policy that might be coming into play because of that, so.
Do we need the resolution to go with regulation change because it's an emergency? Just for clarification. Do we need the resolution and the regulation, or can you just pass the regulation, the KLG regulation?
Well, so no, we wouldn't, because the resolution is giving him the authority to make the change.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're approving the resolution and not KLGA.
Right.
Okay.
We're not approving the actual policy.
Got it.
I mean,
Just the
I guess by
resolution.
default kind of are, because he's going to.
By default we are, but the motion is just to approve the resolution.
Adopt the resolution.
So I'm going to move to adopt the amended resolution to make the amendments to KLGR effective immediately.
And just for clarity, that was what Jessica read to us. That's what we're amending with, since I don't have it. All right, second.
Okay, we have a motion by Vice President Sassano, a second by Director Musgrave to adopt the amended resolution. And not as presented, to make proposed amendments to KLRG are effective immediately. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Diagana.
Monica Johnson,
Yes.
Amanda Park,
Yes.
Nate Fasano,
Yes.
Amy Musgrave,
Yes.
Wales.
Yes. Our final item is the cancellation of the November 4, 2025 Weld RE-5J School Board election. Okay, so she's not. Okay. We did have a public comment, but I think we're kicking this to Ms. Diagana.
We certainly can.
Okay, so in your I just provided a little background information, provided by the Colorado State statute about, once we get 63rd day, if we don't have any more candidates than open positions, that we're able to cancel the election if the board chooses to do so. There are a couple of things that we have to do, of course, with that procedure. We're very tight time frame, and all of the other districts who are canceling election are too, because as of September 2nd, that was the first day that we canceled the election. And most of them have to have our ballot certified by September 5th. So there's a very tight time to process the cancellation of the election. I am required to notify our voting counties, thank you. That's Larimer and Weld. And then we're also required to do a notification in the paper. And then part of that, at each polling locations, the Weld County and Larimer County election officials have to post our notice of cancellation of election at each of the voting and polling centers. And so that means that
had petition, or that submitted petitions had petitions that were sufficient.
I think one of the other things that I would take benefit, so you got the $22,000 to $24,000 Jessica talks about, but I also think Jessica, who is our election official, her time will not be as deep into this if we're not running an election, as it would be if in fact she's keeping track of all those timelines and dates, as she had to the last minute. I think for this district, it's the first time in 20 years.
I believe, with the records I found, it looked like 2005 was the last year that an election.
Yeah, I've been doing a little history on the school board, and there was a block where there's no record in the clerk's records election. So my assumption was that the election had been canceled.
And we'll be one of several Weld County school districts that are able to cancel election based on no competition in the seats.
President, I have a question. When did you first get appointed to the Weld RE-5J school board initially?
Well, when did I get appointed?
Yeah, when were you officially elected?
So I was elected in 18, I believe.
Okay.
So yeah, I know the question you're asking.
Yeah.
So I was elected, I served a 4-year term. I got elected to a second term, but we weren't able to satisfy the law to get sworn in time. And so in those instances, the election is considered voided. And then the remaining members then appoint to fill those seats. And so there were 3 of us at that time. That's why these elections have been so screwy the last few years. So we got the 3 of us who ran and were elected. The board the 2 members who were seated on the board at that time felt that they would do the will of the voters and appoint those 3 people to their seats. So when you get appointed to a seat, though, you only serve for 2 years. So I was appointed for a 2-year term, ran to fill the balance of that 4-year term in her 3rd year. And so I'm coming to the end of that. And then the question becomes the way the law is written, and I spent a lot of time talking with our attorneys about this. So the way the law is written is that you can serve 2 terms, consecutive elected terms. Because there was a 2-year term where I was appointed, I'm eligible to run for this other. I was eligible to be on the ballot for an additional 4-year term.
Yeah, those 2 years of service technically don't count toward any of his 8 years of service.
Okay.
So when you fulfill a term, that doesn't count as a 4-year term.
Even then, though, would the new 4-year term still surpass that 8-year limit that's put in place by Colorado legislation?
Say that again?
Would the additional 4 years of being elected surpass the 8-year?
Because they're not consecutive.
Because
they're not consecutive.
It's 8 consecutive years.
And then the other thing that people are worried about is it's stated in that same section that districts can modify or eliminate these limits through a voter-approved ballot measure, but there's no evidence such as past ballot questions. So is it something we ever had voters vote on or necessarily?
We've always stuck with the state law. So yeah, I mean, and that's, as we were talking earlier, there are school districts where people run old seats for 30 years, 25 years, whatever. Our district just we've never done that. There's always been enough interest to run for the seats, with the one in 2025 and the current year.
I just want to make sure that we're within regulations, obviously, that we don't have a bunch of unhappy voters. That's obviously a big part of it.
Yeah, no, we've.
Part of my responsibility as the designated election official is vetting that. So we received legal opinion for, in particular, we received a legal opinion for Michael to clarify, and then we add that to the file so that our questions.
Okay. So is that something, if people were concerned about it, that they're able to request? Or is that one of the ones that remains just within district admin? Like if they wanted to see that update in and out of that process.
They could do an open records request.
Okay.
She's just holding you guys accountable. She's under your student accountability committee. She's student accountability.
I would say that might be attorney privilege. So I'd have to call the training before we can go into that.
And then the other thing, so you said those, your first term was void because you missed this signing.
My second.
Your second term was void in that sense. Is that something that we're able to prevent happening in the future? Just for I know that mistakes happen, but just to make sure that.
Yeah, so it's, and I've actually got it to the CASB's legislative review committee to have them put some pressure on the state legislature to change it. I can't remember the time frame off the top of my head. It's a weird time frame. I think it's 20 days. I think it's 20 days after certification of the election that you have to be sworn in. The thing with that is, so elections are in November. Usually the first week in November. What happens 20 days after the
And it takes some time to get certified.
Thanksgiving? So a lot of school districts don't have meetings. They only have one meeting in November. They don't have that second meeting. And that was the case that we had that year. So we had planned that first week in December coming back. And I was the one who actually caught it. As I was preparing that meeting and getting ready for everything, I was checking the statute and saw the date and stupidly, probably, in hindsight, to the attention of our attorney and said, hey, I think we may have missed this timeline. And they said, you absolutely have missed this timeline. Here's the process to, now it's an appointment issue.
I do, and I don't want you to take this wrong, because I love you, you're invaluable to our board. I do worry that we're setting ourselves for a legal issue, canceling the election. I don't read in statute anywhere where it specifically addresses this situation. I don't read CASB's information, this specific. I mean, everything says, you have to wait 4 years before because you did serve those 2 years. It's not like right here. And I mean, I want you here, please don't take this wrong. I mean, Windsor was sued, the town of Windsor was sued over a similar situation with the mayor, and he lost. And please don't take that wrong.
No.
I just don't want to be setting the district up for a lawsuit. We're canceling the election. I mean,
Well, the simple fact is there's nobody else to receive.
it doesn't matter, we still have term limits. I mean,
He's still going to be elected to a term, so will the two of them for 4
Okay,
years.
I mean,
canceling election doesn't mean that the term is not a valid term. It's just, we don't have to spend $25,000 to have two people say yes to the three of them
well,
taking a seat, and then it's just, we're
we have a
electing them by
very weird,
acclamation.
we have a very weird situation. And I'm not comfortable with it. I don't read anywhere in statute or with CASB that this is the proper way to handle this.
So we should $25,000 for an election that
Wait.
is unnecessary?
How much are we
Should
going
we
to
do
spend?
an RFP for it?
Who's going to sue the school districts?
I don't know. Hopefully no one, because it's a legal
Well,
process.
hopefully, but people are already talking.
I bring it on. We followed the
Bring
rules.
it on. You want to spend taxpayer, we're not following the rules.
Don't want to spend taxpayer dollars.
There is no rule that is applicable to this situation.
I've heard about the rules that are applicable to this situation.
Those do not address this specific situation.
I think they do, and that's what the lawyers have said.
Yeah, I think there's been conversations, I think, both ways, and I hear what you're saying, Amy, and we don't want to take an undue risk. I think Michael has done a lot of work himself with legal counsel. I think the district did work with legal counsel, and I happen to have watched other districts that have individuals that don't do 2 4-year consecutive terms who end up serving 9, 10, 11 years because they didn't serve 2 consecutive 4-year terms. It's a question our legal counsel get all the time because it's something that comes up in multiple districts. We're not alone in that conversation. And so I would say, for me, I feel comfortable with the advice we've been given outside of the advice Michael's been given. I think the advice lines up in terms of what advice the district has been given around the term. I don't know that that has a lot to do with the election, right? The term itself, if we run through the election, I think the advice, I think, from you, Amy, would be not even on the ballot.
Well, I don't want to say that. I mean, I followed the case in Windsor. There's precedent. I mean, he was elected, the mayor was elected, and then somebody sued the town over. And it's a similar situation. I actually think they had a better legal argument than we do. I don't want this to happen. I want this to be an issue. I want you here. I just worry about the legality of it. And it's a concern for me.
Cancellation or unelection doesn't change anything.
Well, we're taking the voters' say out of it if we cancel.
Something.
I mean, I don't know.
If this is one of those things that like you guys know might cause an issue, like if you've already hired lawyers and attorneys, I kind of see what Musgrave is saying about one of these issues that like can arise into something bigger. Like we just got out of all of our legal trouble as a school board of ex-superintendent creating lawsuits. So I agree with her that we kind of want to avoid going down that rabbit hole when we can.
I guess the question tonight that I would ask us to consider is canceling the election doesn't change anything, right? So having the election doesn't change.
If we have the election and nobody votes for Michael or Monica or they still get named to their seat. That's just how it works. They're the only ones on the ballot right now.
Because no one's contesting those seats. So if someone were to contest it, there would automatically be an election. But no one has contested that seat. My opinion is we've done our back end on going through legal services and making sure that everything is lined up legally so that problems don't happen as a result of this. And I feel confident that they have advised us correctly in it and that we are following policy and procedure on this matter.
I'd like to add something. I've been trying to get more involved in town community. I've joined the town discussion Facebook group, and what I've observed a lot of is a lot of talking and a lot less action. And I feel like if there was truly someone in their heart that didn't agree with what is about to happen, again, they don't do that. If they didn't agree with a certain board member, like position level on the board, if they wanted to change something on the board, they would have put their hat, I forgot the saying.
Yeah.
They would have
Hat in the ring.
hat in the ring, thank you. They would have thrown their hat in, and why waste all this money to then, you're not gonna run, but then you're gonna sue the school district? I feel like it's a lot of.
But that's exactly what happened in Windsor.
I know. I 100% understand that. I just.
The only issue with canceling is that it takes the voters out. And I know that you guys are the only people on the ballot, and that I want you all here. And I just worry how that looks for the district. And I mean, yes, if somebody else wanted to run, they should have. They didn't.
So how does it take the voters right away if the voter doesn't have a choice?
They can write in a candidate.
And candidate
they have
timeline's
to
already passed.
They have to
that's
comply
right.
to the same.
That was August.
Yeah.
So they're.
I don't know. It's all of this makes me uncomfortable. They're two different issues.
Yeah, I think that's what it ends up being is they're two different. So I think canceling process to me is like, okay, it's a process.
Yeah.
Saving the district money.
Actually, I'm not trying to question anything about what attorney obviously, not trying to question legal authority, but would having the election, spending that money, at probably $25,000, a lot of money, would it prevent this possible doing? If someone was going to sue, would it prevent it being had an election?
Not if
I
they're
don't-
questioning his terms.
I don't think so, because like in
Yeah, I don't
Windsor,
think so.
the mayor was already elected, you know, and then the lawsuit
And
happened.
they had an election or a,
They did,
okay.
yeah. I don't think an
So
election.
then there's probably, this is my opinion, but there's no point to have it if both ways there's a possibility of sue. The only point of having the election, in my opinion, would be to prevent a possible sue, but there's no point in 25,000. It's not gonna protect you. It's not like spending 25,000 terrible insurance when you spend zero money and you don't do one and you get the same amount of terrible insurance. So.
You can still have someone unhappy. Clearly what we saw in Windsor is you have someone unhappy with the outcome of the election. I agree with what I'm saying. There's a double-edged sword. Unless someone else runs, there's like no way to possibly prevent it.
Can I ask just one more follow-up question? If you're arguing applicable for a 2-year term or a 4-year term, because if I'm not mistaken, you're running for a 4-year term, but I think it would only apply to a 2-year term. Correct me if I'm wrong.
What would apply to a 2-year?
Like just all of the jumping through hoops and not overseeing that like term limit. Again, I just don't want like Amy saying we don't want.
School board directors are always elected to a 4-year term.
Okay.
Unless they are appointed, which was his case. He was appointed because we missed that deadline. He was into a 2-year term. We had an election to fill the rest of that 4-year term that he ran for in that one. And now he's running for a second, third, technically 4-year term. So it's always 4-year terms unless there's a resignation, effectively. Somebody resigns from their seat and then somebody is elected to fulfill the rest of that seat.
Until the next regular election.
Until the next
And that's
regular.
why it's only a 2-year term, is because they can only fulfill the position in the next regular election. So when we had this snafu with Michael's seat,
It was
my seat.
Monica's seat, and
Amanda's.
seat. So at our last election, we had very unheard of, actually, 5 positions open at the last election. So we had 2 4-year positions, that's 88 seats, and then the other 80. So Michael, Amanda, and Monica both fulfilled a partial term from 23 to 25, and none of that comes toward. And so what our attorney said is that it's 2 consecutive 4-year terms office, with terms being considered as consecutive unless they are 4 apart. However, the general attorney has clarified partial terms of office resulting in interim appointments made to fill a vacancy not count towards term limits.
So that-
Sorry, that was hard to read.
Yeah, and so that was kind of the gist of all this. So spoke with Casby's attorneys, I spoke with our district's attorneys. And their question was how does the Attorney General interpret this? Because that's where a lawsuit goes. And the Attorney General has come back and said, Ms. Diagana had just read. That's how the current Attorney General would.
And if I could add something, $12,000 is a huge sum of money. And my trepidation would come from holding an unnecessary election where no one is contending and trying to justify why we spent $25,000. I feel like that would be one of the most irresponsible things we could do as a district, to say we spent $25,000 for what? For people who are going to be elected anyway. It literally does not make any sense if we're talking about finance and accountability.
I think if you're from what we see, I think either way, somebody is gonna be happy. And then, like you're saying, we have to take into account the fiscal part of it. If we did that, somebody would spend $25,000 on an election with no candidates. But then again, we also have we don't do the election, they're gonna be like, that's not okay, they'll sue. I think it's just, you gotta, what's the word, lesser of two evils, not saying it's evil, just for people to have their opinions, but what's the lesser of the two problems, I guess? That's kind of my thought process on that.
So I have a question on what you just from your recommendation. You said the 2 years of appointment count. So we've only run them for another 2-year term? Did we
He
mess
ran for
that
a
up?
2-year term.
I
The
know,
last
but
term,
so that's 6 years elected.
but the 2-year term didn't count.
So it was his term.
But we're at 8 years now, and so if we take out those 2 years.
Right.
Should we mess that up?
No. Because he was appointed in 2021. He was appointed in 2021 by resolution.
Right, but then you ran for election.
Ran for a 2-year
Yeah.
term at the last election to fulfill, because I can't, with that 2021, when that term got split, I can't make that a 4-year term now. It has to stay, because we have to keep your terms staggered. So we've got 3 up 1 year and 2. And so I can't change the term on the seat because it just needs to be a 2-year term to get us to the next 4-year term. So then everyone's back, after this election, everyone will be back on a 4-year term.
I think, you think about it, we talked a lot about Michael's position, but I think all 3 running are actually running for their first term.
And this is equal to 3 numbers.
So all of them will be running, if we forward with it as is, they're all gonna be serving their first 4-year term.
Monica and Amanda were appointed, and then they both ran for election in '23 for those 2-year terms. And so if they are elected or elected by acclamation for the resolution, that starts a 4-year.
Their first 4-year
Their
term.
first 4-year term.
And I mean, honestly, the solution to this problem to make everybody happy, I'm against everybody. I haven't heard a lot. I've had gut signatures on a petition and got a lot of well wishes, but I mean, to make you happy and to make you guys happy on November 8th, I can. And then you guys, the 4 of you, would need to appoint somebody. And then we start this whole process over where that person could only serve for 2 years as appointed, and then they'll be in the same spot that Amanda are in right now.
I mean, I think that's an unfair way to frame that. It's not about making me happy. I'm questioning the legality of it, which I think is our position that we're supposed to do. And it's uncomfortable and I don't like it. And it was just a concern. I talked to you about it quite a while ago. And then, I don't know, we got interrupted or something. So we never finished the conversation. So it's not about making me happy. It's a legal issue and there is precedent and there is a reality that we could face an issue. And so I feel like we should talk about it if it's, we have 3 people that it's applicable to. We need to be careful. So, and this is outside of the conversation regarding the election.
And I will say, I mean, this is not something that I've jumped into lightly. I mean, we had a long discussion about just not running when nobody else showed an interest in filling the seat. The solution is then we appoint somebody and they go for 2 years. And this issue we have with staggered terms and getting things back on track just perpetuates itself again.
I mean, it was the district's fault that we messed up that election. So we have ownership of that, which also, I think, thickens the legal argument there.
Well, it wasn't like we missed it on purpose.
Well, I know, but statute, state law doesn't care if you miss it on
I
purpose.
understand,
Just like when you get a ticket, did you
mistakes
do it
are
on
made.
purpose or not, you know?
And we follow the law.
I mean,
I'm going to make a motion to approve the resolution to cancel the November 4th, 2025 Weld RE-5J Board of Education election.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Vice President Sassano, a second by Director Johnson to approve the resolution to cancel the 4th, 2025 Weld RE-5J Board of Education election. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Diagana. I'm just gonna say, would you record me as an abstention on this, since there's a controversy?
Monica Johnson?
Yes.
Angela Proctor?
Yes.
Nick Fasano?
Yes.
Amy Musgrave?
No.
And Michael Wells.
So the motion does pass. Ms. Diagana, do you want to explain, reiterate the steps that it needs to take at this point?
So I'll be notifying both of Weld County and Larimer County that, and providing them with a resolution. And then they'll be doing the things that they need to do as part of the coordinated election council for that. And then I'll be working with the freeze and getting out a notice to the electors.
We don't have any citizen comments on general topics. Any other item necessary? Hearing none, we'll adjourn at 9:12. Thank you, everybody.
Remember to do it 25% of the time.
I don't enjoy this. And anytime there's feedback, I'm like self-conscious that it's.
We discussed it.
On killing that wife. And not on the ballot.
It's expensive. And if we're trying to do some kind of outreach, so we suggested that we go to a ticket system, so you get a ticket for the community.
Okay.
But that we just have 50 free tickets.
This guy said if someone wants to.
And then get into the food bank, let them select people, obviously, I mean, that would be one of the first places, then.
I would say
also do.
There's getting signatures, some
Meals
lady
on
asked
the,
for her, I
on
think
the senior center.
her kid, I think she's actually on the down.
I'm sorry, I don't.
I want to run to the board.